Dan Williams, Survive Outdoors. The long-awaited video, USA versus Canada, and the giveaway towards the end. So, we're going to go through a little bit of the history of the buck family and the buck knife. We're going to go through the buck 119. We're comparing that to the Grohman from Canada. This is the number 4 survival knife from Grohman out of Pictou, Nova Scotia. Then we're going to compare, this is the 102 buck, to the trout and bird knife. This is the number 2, 1958, that I've had forever. And then we have the 110, the famous 110. And not a fair comparison, but a close comparison, as we have the little slim Grohman lock blade with the really nice clip point. So we're going to talk about the steels, we're going to do some batoning, and we are going to do some feathering. Then what we're going to do is we're going to see how dull they are. So first we're going to run these. I'm going to show you, I'm going to run these through some yellow pads, and we're going to see how sharp they are. Hang tight. This is 119 first. This is damp paper. It will shave, as you can see right there. So now let's do the Grohman number 4. I'm not going to shave my hand. I like to have some hair left after this video. We have the 102. A little damp. We have the trout and bird Grohman. Just in a matter of a few minutes. There's so much humidity out here right now. It is amazing. This paper has already gotten damp. And we drop down to the 110. I just sharpened these knives, all of them equally. And the lock blade slimline. And I just use this knife to make a venison stew. It's probably going to be the dullest of all of them. Not bad, not bad at all. Let's see if that sucker will shave. Look at there, I got a little cut from that 119. Yep, it'll shave. Okay, so just to show you that they are sharp, some of them could be a little sharper. We're going to do some batoning. But first we're going to go through the history of Grohman and the history of buck. So the first buck knife was actually made in 1902 from a file. And he basically worked on that sucker and made the first buck knife. Now, buck knife between 1961 and 1967 just has the name buck on it, like as you can see there. Now, from 1967 to 1972, it says buck, and then underneath you'll see USA. When you hold the tip up, that they changed the brand on that. So that's something that you need to know, especially if you're a collector. So same way here, buck USA. Now this is the oldest buck I have, the 119, and I'm going to say early 70s, and it does the same thing, buck 119 USA. So buck used a lot of 440C steel on their knives, but a lot of people complain it was too difficult to sharpen. So they then moved to 420C steel. However, if you special order through Cabela's, you can still get um, you can get 440 or you can get S30V or CPM 154 if you special order through Cabela's and Bass Pro, especially on the 110. I can't speak to the fixed blades, but on the 110, I know you can special order that steel. Buck, they've won tons of gold honors, tons of magazines, 17 times in the last 20 years. These guys have basically won tons of awards, 17 times in the last 20 years. Now, Buck gets beat on a lot, saying that, this is too pliable, the steel is not really good for bushcraft, and on and on and on. And we're going to address that when we talk to Grohman and we discuss that. The point is that carbon steel is excellent for woodcraft. I'm not going to get in a big debate here in terms of the softness of the steel versus the hardness. Personally, I lean a little bit towards Grohman, and I'll tell you why and when we get to Grohman. Now, I specifically ordered on Grohman this in stainless. And one of the reasons I did, and you talk to any of your expert chefs and look it up, Google it, if you're working with meat and food, you're going to want a stainless steel knife. And a lot of your top chefs do. If you're doing bushcraft and woodwork and carving, you're going to want a carbon blade. Absolutely. Totally agree. So, but Buck has been around for a long time. Buck, for $70, $75, it really appeals to a lot of individuals, and it's not a ton of money for a workhorse knife. In my opinion, when we get to Grohman, we'll talk about that. Now, here's the deal. Buck, on their leather cases, the blade is made in the USA. Their leather cases are made in Mexico. And I am here to tell you that if you want to compare the leather case of a Buck to the leather case from 1958 Grohman, or even the recent Grohman leather case, the Buck leather case, I mean, you would need a bandsaw, man, to cut through that. This leather case is durable and tough. So, as far as the leather case goes, in terms of durability, Buck wins outright on the leather case, no question about it. However, this is 1958, and I've used it for years, and it's held up really well. So it begs, how thick do you need a leather case? Nevertheless, Buck wins out on the case. So Grohman is a very small company compared to Buck. Buck, needless to say, the company went through the roof. Grohman basically started in the Second World War, and he came over to Canada. He went and he got his steel from Germany, and he used 4110 steel, which is comparable, very comparable to 440 steel. Um, People started demanding, this is carbon steel, 4110, but they started demanding stainless. You got a stainless steel knife. Yes, it's not going to hold the edges well. It can be a pain in the butt to sharpen, but you could do whatever you want with it. It's not going to corrode or rust. It will, all stainless steel rust eventually if you're not taking care of it. So this one and this one are carbon, stainless. This is carbon steel, and I think you can tell the difference. I really like the carbon steel. Time will tell on the stainless. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that Grohman, they've won like 29 to 35 different knife winning awards across the world for their unique blade and handle. Case, the Arkansas Knife Company Case, joined with Grohman making folders, but Nova Scotia government said, you know what, we don't want you, USA. We don't want the company. So they closed that off. It wasn't until Grohman met up with a guy named Dean Russell, and they wanted a Canadian knife that you look at, and they went out and got a lot of different opinions from hunters and trappers, and they wanted the best skinning knife and outdoor knife. So they teamed up and they developed this style where you have this saber cut on the blade, rosewood handle, and nowadays you can get rosewood, you can get antler, you can get oak, different handles, and you have the brass, obviously, pins in them. The older ones do not have the hole with this in there. However, the style is still, they're all very similar in that same style. And what I really, the way this fits in the hand, and I can put my thumb on this blade and put pressure down. I've used this to skin deer, I've used it to skin beaver, squirrel, and this is just I can't say enough about the design of the Grohman knife when compared to the buck. Um, and I personally have had no problem sharpening these two at all. Had this one for obviously a long time. Had this one for about 2 to 3 years, and I've had this one for about 4 days. All right, and to let you guys know, I'm going to be downsizing. As you know, obviously, as you've seen my videos, I collect knives, but we are going to be selling some, giving some away, and we're going to give 2 away today. All right, let's start chopping and see how these things do, and then we're going to try them on paper and see how they cut. Buck clearly does really well. It's a really thick blade here. No damage to the blade that I see there. All right, time for the Grohman. All right, here's the Grohman number 4 survival knife. So I did 4 with the buck. I think I did 4. Yeah, I did 4. So we're going to do at least 4 here to be fair. And we'll see how they hold an edge. Wood's starting to twist. 1, 2, 3, one more for the Grohman. Tough piece of wood. All the buck fans are saying, yeah, see there, that Grohman isn't worth a damn. All right. Now we'll see how sharp these 2 knives are. Not bad on the Grohman. Well, there's definitely, in my opinion, a difference. There we go. But it's clearly the buck did not hold the edge on 4 batoning as the Grohman did, in my opinion. There's a lot of factors involved in that, really. You know, there really is. This is an older knife. This is a newer knife. The steel is different. No question about it. So we'll do some little bit of feathering with the Grohman. All right, let's see the buck. 102. type of wood too make a difference. I mean, obviously, if you had hedge or Osage, it would be tough. This is not hedge or Osage. I'm thinking, looks like elm or walnut to me. All right, not bad. Let's see how they cut paper. 102. Look at that. They both did better. One of the reasons of that might very well be the feathering takes less damage to the blade than the batoning. And the 102 and the Grohman Trout and Bird did very well. So that's one thing to consider. So we're doing the Grohman Slimline. Doing really well. Let's try it on the buck. This wood here, let's try it on this piece. That is, see how twisty that is? Let's try it on this buck 110. Doing good. Both of them, actually. Yeah, they both did really well. All right, 110. Grohman clip point. I got 2 pieces of paper in there, don't I? Look at that. Let's drop that back down to 1. Just tearing it. I would actually give this one to probably the 110. But this paper is wet, very humid. 110, definitely holding the edge, in my opinion, better than the Grohman. So in my opinion, between the Grohman and the buck, it's really, really close. Grohman has, in my opinion, the better steel. It edges it out. Buck has the more durable leather sheath. Really is going to be dependent on personal preference. I mean, Buck 110 has been around forever, and it keeps being bought. So it can't be a terrible blade if it keeps being bought and being used for skinning and feathering and on and on and on. The Canadian belt knife, the Grohman Russell, has a great reputation, great steel. So I sound like a politician. I'm not picking a clear winner. It's an opinion. You guys pick. Tell me what you think down below. All right, who won? All right, here we go. We have the Essie, great little knife. And we have the buck. This is the 112. Yeah, this is the buck 112. Nice little knife with the reversible clip on either side. 9 people put their names underneath. I got, flipping them out of the hat. I got 9 names in here. And I'm not going to pick. There they are, 9 names. We're going to have my wife draw one out. She reaches in. She picks one out. And it is, drum roll, Dan Falk 552 is the winner of these knives. All right, guys, there you have it. I think that's the second time that boy has won on the legit. All right, keep your eyes on the horizon, your face to the wind. We're getting back to wilderness medicine on the next video. Take care.